It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday and the tornado alarms are going off. It's Wednesday, it's 10 o'clock and the tornado alarms are going off. It's fine. They're testing the system. I need to get back into spring mode. Hi guys, it's April and I have another verses video for you, but this one is going to be a little different than my first one. This one, I am going to look at the whole Illuminae series, both the physical version and the audio version, because with the release of Memento, I believe it was the end of last year, I just picked that one up and I read it, and then I found out it also had an audio version. So I went back through the Illuminae files, starting with Memento in the audio format. And this video is just me kind of spitballing some of my likes and dislikes of both versions and kind of comparing them to each other, because while they do cover the same story, they do feel a little bit different than one another, and I want to talk about some of those things. So the Illuminae files. This beautiful book right here was written by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Of course, I believe it came out in 2015, if I remember my life correctly. Yes, 2015. It first came out in 2015. I read through all of these first in the physical format because these things, oh my gosh, they're a compilation of files and there's all kinds of different artworks and formats. Let's see if I can find one that's like epic. I mean, there's like lists. And the thing about this is it's written to be a collection of information that was gathered because of an incident that happens on a mining colony in which they were attacked. Some biological weapons were used, and of course, a lot of bombings, and it was just all around not good. So the people, the victims, the ones that got away started collecting these files and documenting what happened to them after the attack on this colony. So these files are all documented in Illuminae, in Gemina, and Obsidio, and then the precursor Memento. Each of these books, each of these files takes place in the same story arc, in the same storyline, usually centered around a different group of characters, but they all start intermingling together, and there's different incidences that all come together in this big thing that this company is doing that they probably shouldn't be doing. Now, the physical format. I showed you some of it. It's got this really cool effect that makes it a quicker read than the thickness of what it appears. So you've got some transcripts from video. You've got some of the instant messages back and forth between characters. You have emails and messages and different things like that that come together to tell a story. A lot of times it's from different perspectives. There's somebody maybe transcribing what is happening on a video. You, of course, have the direct conversation from certain characters. And then you also have this artificial intelligence, Aiden, whose files come together to form some of this as well. I like this format because it makes you feel a little bit like a detective. However, you don't necessarily get to get into the mind of the characters unless you're reading things like maybe a video diary transcript, or maybe a message between certain characters, or possibly a written diary from a character. And you start to have to kind of put personas together about each of these characters through just printed word, because you're never going to be able to see directly into their mind from these files, like I said, unless it was a diary of some form. It does have points where it's a little bit more sterile than, say, a standard type of read, because you are coming at it from instant messages, from videos, from transcriptions, all of those kind of things. But I didn't feel like you lost the deeper, gut-wrenching moments in these stories because of that. I really, really love how these books look, and maybe it's just that artistic side of me that just really loves what the authors were playing with in this format. Now, when you get into the audiobook format, they do have a full cast of characters, which I think plays really, really well into this story format. I liked that they switched, and there were points in the story that because they used different actors to play different voices, you really got more of a feel for what was going on and how these characters felt as full-bodied people. There were also times where you got background sound effects and you got more of a fuller feel of the atmosphere of everything that was going on, which I love in dramatizations like this. So they went more almost like this was a, I don't know, radio broadcast or something to that effect. This was like a full theatrical production, and it was perfect that way. There were moments in this, though, that I didn't quite fit in the audiobook format because, like I said, you have instant messenger going on between certain characters sometimes. And it's a little disconcerting that you have to have the handle and then the message read out to you, and it gets a little clunky in that format. And so that's why I think the physical format was really, really good, because when you're reading messages like that, it feels natural. But when you're hearing messages like that, it's a little jarring. And I do understand that text to speech, that is stuff sight impaired people have to deal with every day. But when it's not something that you're familiar with, it takes you a little while to find that groove. What I think, so of the two formats, do I like one over the other? I lean a little more heavy onto the physical format, mainly because I do like that visual approach to the story. But there are so many different added depths because of the audiobook that I think you just get a different, it's almost like getting a different perspective of the story. You almost get more of the story, but you lose some of the story. What I think would be absolutely amazing would be having these two married together. So maybe having some way, and maybe this is through a video series, or it's through a movie series, or some kind of setup like that, where you have these moments where you are watching these videos take place. You have the full audio experience if it's part of an audio file. But then at the same time, if it's a text part of the story plot, if it's a text part of the file, it can put that up there on the screen for you to read and go through and get a feel of and have them married together. And maybe it's just because I want the best of both worlds. I want all of the pretty artistic things that all of these books do so very well, alongside of all of the amazing things that happen in the audiobooks. The way Aiden interacts and talks, the way you get these very dramatic moments of klaxons going off in the background, and the sound effects of people coming at each other, because this is a very, very violent series, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of very uncomfortable moments that play with a lot of stereotypical sci-fi tropes, but I liked how they did it. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen, and I guess I could always just kind of build my own experience like that, since I do have both formats. If I see it comes to a particular section that is about a video or is about a specific kind of interaction, I can always flip to the audiobook and have that experience. It's a little clunky, but maybe I'll try that approach in the future instead of going all physical and then all audiobook. See how that feels, how that plays out. But I do like the fact that you get a very unique experience through both platforms, through both types of reading. And I highly recommend that you do both at some point and kind of get a feel for it. I feel like it just connects you to the storyline and what's going on just a little bit differently each time you go through it a different kind of way. But That's just my thoughts. I just wanted to get out here and talk about it. I don't know how many of the rest of you have picked up the Illuminae files and read it in one format or the other. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Of course, I do have full reviews over each of the books in the series. I will link it up above and down below in case you are interested in hearing more of my thoughts on this. Of course, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe down below, hit that bell, do all the things to get all of the notifications, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.